everyone. Are you so excited?
Are you so excited? I am overwhelmed.
I'm not gonna lie, part of me wishes that we had streamed that just so that people could see us.
My reactions, yeah,
so great.
That was
like, it was literally a mix of Perk going, ah, and me being like, ah, for like 15 straight minutes. I have so many feelings. Like,
I have so many feelings. Like I don't the demon hunter or like the night elf lore, like no orcs.
I was expecting like a 10-minute, like, this is the name of the expansion, you're getting a new class, we're not telling you what it is, suck it, nerds. Like, that's what I was expecting. I was not expecting like almost an hour and a half of, that was in depth. There was a lot of information. I was not ready for that. I feel so bad for you because after this you're going to be working for like 6 straight days. But
oh wow, apparently at the end they just said that beta is later this year.
Yeah, they said beta this year.
That was like very quietly.
Yeah, it was very, you just snuck it in there, like no big deal. Like, oh yeah, hope to see you all in the beta this year. So I think I have a feeling it'll be one of those. Remember when they did, like, if you pre-order Mists of Pandaria, you get, like, all of these extra rewards. Now, it wasn't pre-order if you sign up for, like, 3 months or a year or something like that.
Yeah, you can already opt into the beta right now. If you go onto the Legion website, the button is all glowy and green.
Oh. It's glowy and green, guys. But maybe they'll do something like they did before where if you agree to subscribe for a year or something, you'll automatically get beta access or something like that. Because people are... freaking out. I couldn't believe the short cinematic. It was like, I feel like that's what the Warcraft movie is going to be like.
Yeah, that was so high quality. So yeah, I guess we should just start from the starting point. But yeah, that cinematic of like Gul'dan. At first I'm like, so we had the Warlords of Draenor thing, and I'm like, okay, we have orcs, and they were saying Gul'dan, okay, you have to impress me. You know, the images are high quality, but we still have an orc, and then it was like, Illidan.
Perk's had enough of orcs, okay.
Yeah, I've had it with orcs. And then I saw Illidan in his vault, and I'm like, yes!
Well, we weren't even sure. We, like, saw it glow green. I was like, Perk, is that Illidan? Is that Illidan? Perk, is that Illidan? You're like, I don't know, I think so! So, we're really excited about this whole thing. I feel like when I did my speculation video, I threw out so many ideas that I had to be right about something. But I'm actually really surprised about the class. I was expecting a healer or a support of some sort. I was not expecting a DPS, certainly not a demon hunter.
Yeah, I mean, you were thinking that it would be male and it would be ranged, and instead we're getting like a super rogue. And
a super rogue.
I don't know. Well, they can't stealth, but it's still leather. They can tank.
Yeah.
They get cool weapons. They can double jump. They can be night elves and blood elves.
Yeah, everybody's talking about people are real hyped for that double jump. But let's start right from the beginning.
Yeah.
Of course, the first thing we saw was the story so far. That was the Warlords of Draenor cinematics so far. And it wasn't anything new. Those were like bits and pieces of all the cinematics throughout the game that we've been playing. Most of them were from the Legendary Quest. Then Tom Chilton came out, and he's the guy who made the big expansion announcement, which was weird and exciting. I thought the devs did pretty good, considering that none of them have really done a big expansion announcement. Where the heck was Chris Metzen?
I know.
Where was that guy? Yeah. Like, I would have thought he would have at least been there. But we found out, like, definitively that Gul'dan is alive. He's still causing trouble, being a hooligan, doing rude things. And the new expansion is called Legion, of course. It is the return of the Burning Legion in Illidan. So
and there's Dalaran. It's like all the good parts of Burning Crusade and Wrath put together.
It really
and that's
feels,
so cool.
Yeah, it really feels like they looked at what was popular. They looked at what people liked. They looked at what people missed. And they sort of hit points for that. I feel like a big thing that people liked about Wrath was the neutral faction hub. I really, really do think that was something people enjoyed.
Yeah.
That place where they could see each other, and it was, you know, there were the little areas where they could go and the other guy couldn't go. But it was
and you could actually feel united, and there was monuments when you took down a boss. It wasn't just Alliance versus Horde. It was like, you know, here's Algalon, and here's, you know, Arthas. So yeah, I am very excited about that.
I'm super excited for the neutral hub, and I know I'm not the only one. I also am excited for so many Burning Crusade-y type things, like Illidan, and the idea of being demon hunters is super cool. I'm wondering a lot of what level this hero class is going to start at.
Right.
They sort of hinted that it would start at 100, but that seems so high. Like, my knee-jerk would think that it would start at 90, because that's where you can boost to right now. Unless they're changing the boost to 100.
No, they are changing the boost to 100 in the expansion.
Okay,
That's on
so
the feature box. Yeah, the level caps raised to 110. Character boost, you raise one character to level 100.
Oh, okay. So it probably
Yeah,
will be 100 then.
yeah,
Which is it's I have mixed feelings about that. I feel like it's really fun to level characters up. But I understand why they would do something like that. The new continent is called the Broken Isles, and the landscapes were beautiful. I'm really excited for the Tauren area because Taurens are like my favorite race. Taurens are like of my favorite race, and
yeah.
I'm really excited that they're gonna have like a big storyline in their own area. Um, because we haven't seen much Tauren lately, and that's the high mountain area. The Broken Isles will have Val Shara, Stormheim, Ajuna, High Mountain,
Yeah.
and Suramar. Is that all of them?
Yep. And yeah, they are just yeah, they're just so gorgeous and pretty. And I like how they're like, oh, the orcs might be involved, but everything is not spiky and orc themed.
I know.
I am so
I
excited.
I think
Yeah.
I think everybody has had up to their wits end with orcs, and honestly,
Yeah.
I'm horde. I'm obviously horde, but like it is it's historically accurate that alliance expansions do better, and I would say that like based on the things we're seeing, based on the type of architecture and the landscapes and even the storylines, obviously like there's going to be a lot of night elf themes, and I was really excited to see the raven. I mean, they didn't
Yeah.
explicitly say Medivh, but Medivh's happening.
Yeah.
Medivh is happening. So I'm really, really excited about that. And there's also, I really like that they talked about a focus on dungeons because we got
Yeah.
dungeons
They
were
said that
jacked.
they were hurting.
Yeah. Well, and especially
Yeah.
if we're talking about like a Burning Crusade Wrath of the Lich King esque
Yeah.
expansion.
Dungeons were so important then.
And I liked that. I liked that
Yeah.
you could, I'm not, you couldn't earn all of your gear by doing dungeons, but I liked that you could supplement that raid gear because rolling for things sometimes sucks. Or if you have a guild that uses
Right.
loot council or DKP, like there are just times when it's out of
Yeah.
your control of whether you are gearing up, even if you're raiding 3 nights a week, every single week. So
Right.
it would be nice to have that incentive to go do dungeons and to be able to supplement your gear in that way. Really, really excited about that. And I know that recently I did a poll on my Facebook and Twitter of what feature people miss the most in World of Warcraft. And believe it or not, the overwhelming majority of people said talents. They didn't like the new talent system and how it wasn't.
Yeah. So between PvP
yeah,
and the weapons,
and
that just ties into that.
So interesting. And I like that that's a really good compromise too because they're not I mean, if they work so hard and in their mind things are like sort of balanced and they don't want to like harm something, that they added this extra talent tree in that's like here's your variation, but we're not going to like screw with something that's not necessarily broken.
Yeah, and that also can help alleviate all the issues that I really need to kill this boss because he drops a weapon, and early Hellfire Citadel has a weapon that's good for me, but the later boss has a higher item level doesn't. Like you just get your one weapon, and it seems that you really fixate on this for the course. For a really long time, you keep doing story quests, and then you do more, serious quests, and it feels like that's just a lot better. It just gets rid of a lot of loot drama, like which weapon is better. It's like you just have
and weapons
weapon.
are a very big deal when it comes to raiding and PvP and everything.
That's
and
a big DPS boost.
I absolutely love that they took the legendary, and I feel like they've been doing all this morphing of going from it's one specific character in every guild, only one person has a legendary, to a more like okay, everybody in this class, if they work hard enough, can get the legendary, to everybody can get a legendary. And they did a lot of experimentation between Mists of Pandaria and Warlords of Draenor, and now we're seeing this item that seems like it's going to work really well, like the artifact system with all the different appearances and how you can. It's not like a linear quest line. It's not like do this and do this and collect that and do this. It's very like
it's themed for your spec.
Yes.
Like Lord clarified this. It's not just a weapon for your class. It's for your spec.
It's for your spec, and then on top
of
it,
like 36 quest lines. Like that's crazy. That's great.
Yeah, and not only that, but they also said that everything that you do in game that's meaningful will help you upgrade your artifact. So if you like to PvP, you don't need to go do raids to upgrade your artifact, and vice versa. They're not going to send you like they did in Mists of Pandaria to go do PvP in all of your scrubby PvE gear and ruin it for everybody.
No silver shard mines. Yeah. I also like how there's the serious component that you can pick talents and min-max that a bit based on if you're raiding or PvPing, all that stuff, but the appearance as well.
Yeah.
Like fiery Ashbringer, like that's
a huge complaint since the beginning of transmog is that you can't transmog legendaries, you can't transmog the legendary into something else, and vice versa. So while they didn't, again, this is another really good compromise between Blizzard and players, because while they're not allowing you to transmog it, they're saying, okay, but here's 6 different appearances, all different colors to choose from. They're really allowing you to have that weapon and make it unique to what you want to see, which
that's another big thing. I mean, people are like, oh, I have a legendary now, but it feels the same as every other guy that does LFR or Mythic. And now it's like, well, you can customize the appearance, and if you do the thing that you really like doing, then you just get, you know, like your weapon will have more stuff to upgrade it. Like it makes it more personalized too, which I think is needed, because if you think it's personalized, then you'll want to be more invested in it and show it off.
Well,
and if you go to Dalaran with your central area, you can be like, oh, this guy's weapon is better than mine. I better, you know, go do some stuff.
I like too that they, like, I mean, they didn't specifically say like, oh, these are appearances are locked to something other than the PvP one, but it's safe to assume that if this appearance is locked to PvP, that there'll be other ways to unlock the other appearances. They're not just going to be handed to you, which gives you more incentive to do things. I also love when they were talking about how for each class spec quest, they were sending you to old content that was relevant to your character.
Right.
Like Death Knights are going back to ICC, and monks are going back to Mists of Pandaria. I think that's really interesting, and I love any time that they can rehash content so that people are going back and experiencing things, and it's not so like null and void after the expansion is over. I think that's a really good investment.
Yeah, it reminds me of things like Fangs of the Father for rogues and Taragosa for the casters and Firelands, how you obviously had to do a lot of raiding, but then you had these kind of interesting story quests that were also geared to your skill as a solo player. Like, you know, rogues, for example, had to stealth through Karazhan and Gilneas.
Yeah.
And, you know, it just sort of fleshed out the weapon. It wasn't just, oh, I killed this boss 10 times, looted my tomes in LFR, and now I have a thing. It made it more personal.
And people were really upset because it used to be back in the day, if you were a warlock, you had to do specific quests to get, you know, your mount, and if you were...
Yeah, the warlocks always had the best class quests.
Yeah.
Paladins, too, had a few.
Yeah, you had to do all of these different class quests, and they've just removed them over time to make the game more intuitive for somebody who's first starting. So it makes a lot of sense that they would add these really complex class quests into the game, but for a max level player who knows what they're doing by now and they're comfortable with their class, and I think it's a really smart move. And you just talked a little bit about Fangs of the Father, which reminded me of the Fangs of the first Night Saber. Super interesting. The druid weapons are going to change their forms, and they're going to have armor on their arms. That's amazing.
Yeah, I love the trolling. I was like, did they put up the wrong slide? Like, what's going on here? Like, malfunction here?
Yeah, I thought we were supposed to see, the 3 different druids, and we just weren't. So, I think that's really cool. And then I like how he also casually was just like, oh yeah, and that is a high-res druid model. Do you like it?
Yeah.
So, pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, also survival hunters are getting that spear. I'm like, wait, so spears are now a hunter weapon? Are they meleeing things? Like, this is very different. It's, you know.
Oh yeah, I totally agree. I'm super, super excited. I don't know, there's just so many things that are worth looking forward to in this expansion. I think the lore is going to be great. I'm still a little bit floored by Demon Hunters. Like I said, I did a speculation video not even a week ago, and I talked about, I'm like, oh, it's definitely going to be a healer, guys. It's going to use a bow, and it's going to use mail, and it's going to be a healer. Mark my words. No,
none of that.
I think we've come to the conclusion that anytime I say something, you can almost guarantee that the opposite will happen.
And at level 100, a Demon Hunter will unlock a Warcraft movie trailer.
Yeah, and I had also heard that, oh my god, don't bring that up, Perk. Don't bring that up. I had also heard that there was going to be no more leveling, so I was a little bit surprised to see that the level to 110. I really like leveling, so I was excited about it. But I had heard like that there wasn't going to be any more leveling. I also loved all the subtle trolling in the dungeon and raid names.
Yes.
Like, I thought that was really great. Like the we're going to the Emerald Nightmare. That's the Eye of Ajara, and then there was like the kind of hint to almost like the Dark Below with the layer of Neltharia.
They were just like, oh yeah, I have a shard, makes sense for a dungeon, you know. Next. And we're just
I'm excited to see the Return of the Violet Hold too, because that was like everybody really liked that dungeon in Wrath of the Lich King, because there were different bosses that came out every time, and that was like kind of if you had to do it multiple times, it was a little bit fun because it wasn't always the same bosses because they were Plus, it makes sense
Yeah,
with the lore.
I'm really excited about Suramar because they're meant to be a new race of elves, and they've lived there for 10,000 years.
Yeah.
And they flourish from magic abilities, which is interesting because night elves shun magic for a really long time. And that's why it's a big deal that you could have night elf mages, pretty recently.
Yeah.
And now they became pawns of the Burning Legion, and there's also the Suramar raid, which looks really gorgeous. Like, there's some orcs there, but they're like no spikes. It's high elven.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited because it's not just a huge lair. It's like this is a city that people actually lived in. It was really successful. So we'll be seeing, people's homes and streets and
it was.
all these little
looked
details.
Very different too. It was almost like a very like a palace, like very majestic and light. And we haven't had a raid that's everything has been so dark and
black
so evil
and red.
Even in like Mists of Pandaria, everything was very dungeony. I mean, Throne of the Four Winds wasn't really, but. Well, that wasn't Mists of Pandaria, though. Losing my mind.
But
I'm super excited about Demon Hunters. I couldn't believe... is Double Jump going to break the game?
I don't know. It's like breaking the hype train. It's very cool.
Is Double Jump going to break the game? Because all I could think of is like all the treasures and all the things that you could reach that you can't reach right now. And
right.
They can see stealth. What is that? Like, they're so good. Like, I can't even a lot of the things that they announced today, I was like, that's gonna break PvP. Like a 45-second bloodlust for just the shaman. That's crazy.
Right, but we learned that there's the PvE and PvP trees, which we can get to, but first I want to just keep talking about why I think Demon Hunters are cool for a bit. But yeah, like, I just love all the character creations. It's not, you have horns or no horns. You've got the tattoos.
You have the scales.
You've got the skin. Yeah, it's not just skin tones. It's like scaly things. You've got different types of eyewear.
Yep.
Even just like their generic underwear looks really ornate and cool. And some of them have hooves, which are not really typical. And a lot of people have been asking about this. So when Blizzard put up their Legion website, they made a separate page for Demon Hunters that you can find under classes. And they have a lot of information confirmed. They're like, only night elves and blood elves can be demon hunters. They can wear leather. There's only there's only meant to be 2 specs that are for, tanking and DPS. So, yeah, and they have pictures of the customization and different options. And they look great. Like, there's new skin tones. I think there's new hair colors even.
Yeah.
I'm super excited because...
There were a bunch of new skin tones that didn't look anything like current blood elves or night elves. They look really, really cool. And I hope that, I know it sounds really silly, but I hope that because they're adding things like tattoos and stuff like that, that might be something that they consider adding for other races. Because, like, orcs and stuff, like, they show orcs having tattoos in cinematics.
Yeah, exactly.
Give me tattoos, Blizz. Did you see that on the features of the new expansion, they mentioned the transmog system?
I know, they didn't say it, but then at the very bottom of the Legion page, where they talk about features, it's like, new transmog system. And it's like, is that finally coming? Or are we getting a Diablo 3 transmog system?
Please.
I am very cool. I want more information. Please, BlizzCon.
Yeah, when Perk and I interviewed Watcher, it was probably a couple weeks ago, maybe a month ago. He had said,
it was right before 6.2.
Yeah, he said that the new Diablo 3 style transmog system was on the front burner, not the back burner, that it was something that was actively in development and we would see it soon. So the expansion would make...
Maybe we'll hear more on Sunday.
Oh, I hope so.
I mean, they gave us so much information, and it's like, we still have
I know. We
Sunday
still
to
have
go.
all this clarification on Sunday. Like, I really can't even imagine what else they're going to tell us. I really can't, because I was expecting like a 15-minute post today. I was not anticipating an entire BlizzCon style announcement. I liked the host a lot. She was adorable, and I liked when
it's like Tracer come to life.
I know. She was so great. And I was at the very end, I don't know if you caught it, but she called it BlizzCon. She called Gamescom BlizzCon.
No, I've done that. Like, even to you, I'm like, are we ready for BlizzCon tomorrow? And you're like, what?
No, I'm not ready for BlizzCon tomorrow. Demon Hunters looks super, super cool, though, and I think it'll be exciting.
I will be re-rolling one. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Are you going to re-roll a Demon Hunter? I know you've made a rogue forever, but...
Yeah. So, like, back, I used to raid pretty seriously before I got this job at Wowhead, and my guild, I think, was the second one on the server to get Illidan, and I got the Cursed Vision on something like the second kill we got, and I was super excited, and I read into the lore, and I loved how you could track demons, and I got super interested in learning about Demon Hunters then. And, since then, whenever we would kill a boss, I would have a little demon hunter transmog set with the glaives and the kilt and the cursed vision, and I wore that all throughout Wrath, and then when transmog came, I switched to that transmog. So I'm like, hey, I already have this all set up.
I know.
I have a little night elf character story, some of the cities they mentioned with the dungeons. I have my backstory set up for that already.
And you roll around with glaives all the time anyways. Like, pretty much if you're not actively doing something, you're rolling around with glaives. I feel like it's meant to be.
Time walking, it came out. Yeah. I'm like, oh, like my weapon broke, and I'm just like, oh, sweet, I'll just switch to these glaives. And because Mongoose is scaled weird, I was getting a huge amount of agility for them.
That's amazing. Yeah, I think you
so
should reroll.
I will be rerolling.
I'm excited if they do start at 100. I think that's going to be really nice for a lot of guilds, because I know a lot of guilds already have people that are like, oh my god, I want to play a demon hunter, and like starting monks at level 1 really like gimped a lot of people, because they're anybody who actually wanted to raid on a monk, it took way longer to level than people who only had to level 80 to 90. So it is. I mean,
whatever the issue there. I mean, there were issues in Worlds of Draenor, but I think a lot of people agree that the leveling experience was very good. So I'm sure they know the strengths of their leveling system, and if you start at 100, it won't be too painful to hit 110 because. While they were still figuring out endgame and Warlords, they had the 90 to 100 experience down pretty well.
Yeah, I am super surprised that we got 2 raids announced in this announcement.
Yeah, I guess it's meant to be like Heimel and Foundry.
Yeah.
Because they said they liked that system, so maybe they're part of the same tier, but like staggered.
I was not expecting it today, though.
I was not prepared.
I was not prepared. And they're big-ish raids. I mean, 7 isn't huge. Like the Emerald Nightmare is 7, but Suramar Palace is 10. That's pretty big. So.
Yeah, that is exactly the same. Like Heimel was 7 and Foundry was 10, so maybe they said they liked that system, and this is pretty much exactly the same system.
So does that mean that we can expect a selfie patch?
Yeah. Wait, how do the demon hunters do that? Like their camera's gonna be over their head, they can't see.
Their wings. Oh my goodness, that's so great because they're blind. Oh yeah, their horn just like gets in the way. They try to hold it out, and it's just,
their
like,
horn gets
horn.
stuck. Yeah, I don't know if Perk's gonna get horns because I like her appearance, but we'll see.
They're gonna need a selfie stick for the demon hunters.
Selfie stick so the horn doesn't get stuck in the camera.
It's not gonna work otherwise. 7.1 confirmed selfie stick patch. Another obviously very exciting thing that we found out today was the new PvP system that kind of is a nod to the vanilla PvP system, which, like they talked about, was kind of broken at the time, but they sort of expanded upon it in a way that was a little more fair for everybody. There's the whole new PvP honor system. They're calling it the PvP honor system version 3. And there's also the PvP talent system, which is separate than the PvE talent system.
Believe that PvE balance is not affecting PvP balance.
Yeah, that's super nice. That's something that's a very long time coming. Like, I feel like there's a lot of people that's like, what took 10 years? But it's really exciting to hear all of those things. I used to PvP a lot back in Burning Crusade and like early Wrath. I haven't in a while, but I'm excited to get into it now, especially with all of the Vanity Prestige Awards, which is kind of silly, but it's true. Those mounts looked so cool.
They're carrots, yeah. They're the carrots on sticks for us.
Yeah,
But yeah, I really like the mount they were showing. You can get cute little prestige icons by your character nameplate. You get special variations of the artifact weapons, like different colors of them. But yeah, I actually tore down my trading post recently, and I built a Gladiator's Sanctum because I started doing more Ashran and PvP.
Yeah, you got into Ashran when they made the changes on the PTR.
Yeah, so I got into that again, and yeah, I mean, I think the talent system is better. If you didn't see the slides, basically it looks pretty much similar to the PvE system. It's just obviously different talents and things you unlock as you level up and good stuff like that.
Yeah, the talents looked really fun too. They weren't boring talents. They looked pretty fun. But like I said, I'm really into how they're, I don't know, making it easier for somebody who doesn't PvP to get into PvP while still keeping, I'm using the word prestige, but I'm not talking about the prestige system, but still keeping the prestige of people who PvP a lot and have earned really good gear and really good weapons and stuff like that. I loved hearing the throwback to like High Warlord.
Yeah. It feels that Warlords was a test experience to take nostalgia from previous expansions and to advertise and market that, and it went well, but also didn't go well in some ways. And now they're going back and they're mining Burning. Yeah, like they're taking High Warlord nostalgia. They're taking Burning Crusade, Illidan. They've got Wrath with Dalaran, and they're taking more nostalgia and I think presenting it in a more enticing way.
Yeah, for sure. I'm super excited about Dalaran. What do you think is the one thing you're most excited about?
I want to make a demon hunter, and I want to see their weapons, like their artifact weapons. I mean, I don't play any of those classes, but they look cool. But I want to see what crazy warglaive thing they're going to get as their artifact weapon.
I really am excited to see what they're going to give resto shamans. They showed they showed enhancement shamans, and my shaman is main spec resto, off spec elemental. So I was really hoping to see my weapons, but I didn't. That's future.
Yeah, I mean, they're all really epic too. And I was looking at the Wowhead database because we have an artifact section of the database, and there's something like 9 weapons that aren't used. And there are things like, Ashbringer and the unused warglaives and a few silly weapons. And I'm like, well, that's not all of them, but it's just fun to see. Like, are we going to see any of these coming in? And I just really like how they use famous sounding weapons like Kale's weapon, Ashbringer. It ties it into the lore, so even if you're someone that doesn't super care about the lore and you just want your nice weapon, you're like, wow, this looks cool and it has a cool name. Like, oh, there's a story behind it. And
The Death Knight weapons were sick. Like, I liked the one that looked like an ice cube. It was like completely covered in ice. I thought that was really cool. I'm just excited to see all the weapons. They look so
I'm just excited how they're not just like a raid drop you get and you mechanically decide if it's better and then you equip it and go on with your life. I like how it draws you into the world more. You feel more connected because you're like, oh, I went to Ice Crown and I got this weapon, and now I learned about Ice Crown because I started playing in Cataclysm and I learned something new because I never did this raid.
Yeah, and not only that, but it also like this expansion, a lot of people complain that they didn't have much of a reason to log on and play outside of raiding. Whereas if they're saying that you can earn these artifact points every time that you log on and do anything meaningful in the game, it'll give people a reason to log on and do a couple dungeons. It'll give people a reason to log on and do a BG. You know what I mean? Like, you can do
it shouldn't feel like, oh, I did my garrison and now because I'm not raiding, I'm totally done.
Or, oh, I grinded out all the rep I need for this achievement, now I'm done. And I feel like it leaves a very open-ended, like, I'm sure there will be a point where you max it out, but it'll take a while, and until then you can always reorganize your talents and earn more, and I think it just gives a lot of incentive to play the game on a meaningful level, not just logging in and doing garrisons. And we also got a preview of how they're going to use garrison tech.
Yeah, I was just going to transition to that. Yep.
You and I, we're on a wavelength.
So there's class orders that are coming, and basically you're a leader that has the amazing artifact weapon, and your class is sort of banding together to fight evils versus the Alliance or the Horde, which I think is super refreshing.
Yeah.
Because I'm tired of people senselessly fighting, and I think that things like, Burning Crusade, where we're against Illidan, or Wrath against Arthas, were better when we all had to unite to deal with the greater evil. It just felt more compelling. So the garrison system is sort of being transported into class orders where you have champions that work with you, and champions are like an evolution of followers, for example. It's not very mechanical. And there's really cool people, like the leader of the Blood Elves is there. They're in really cool areas too, like the Paladins are in Light's Hope Chapel, the Shamans are in the Maelstrom. They didn't tell you what all of them were, but that just sounds, I don't know, that sounds really cool.
It really does. I'm just really excited about everything. I cannot believe how much we learned. I'm really surprised about all the zones too. The zones, I mean, I know we already talked about them, but the zones are all like really pretty and they look all very different. I'm super excited for the Tauren area.
Yeah, and I just love how we're getting back towards like your class hall is in a unique area. It's not, well, you get the blue building because you're a shaman and a pink building because you're a paladin.
Well,
so you have that.
That was another big complaint about garrisons, was that there was not enough customization, there wasn't enough personalization. Everybody's look the same. At very minimum, we'll have now 12 because there's 12 different classes. Everybody's class hall will look a little different, and I don't know. I'm excited. I'm just excited
about all the night elf lore we're getting. Like the druid reference has Malfurion, where it becomes a druid. There's the Emerald Nightmare. Someone else just pointed out to me in the screenshots, which is sort of related but just cool, that Anduin in one of the screenshots is all grown up. Which is just, he looks pretty good, I think he was in one of the dungeon screenshots, so it's like, well, he's gonna be around in some way doing something.
There's so many. I just feel like they took all the things that everybody's been asking for and like did their best to put them in the new expansion in a meaningful way.
Yeah.
And
also, Ilaria
Jeez.
is like they just dropped that there. Like I'm just looking at the notes and
there's a lot of huge
like,
lore figures that are going to be in there, and they just sort of dropped like Sylvanas is in this expansion too.
Yeah, I was super happy when I went to the Legion website and they were looking at heroes and villains, and you had Maiev, you had Sylvanas, you had like a Naga figure that was right to Queen Ashara, you had Khadgar present. You had a lot of different races and from, different expansions and lore put together. It wasn't just the orc lineup for Warlords of Draenor. So I was really excited to see how that had more variation. It felt like, I don't know, I could relate to it more. It didn't just feel like they had the same story. It's like, oh, they're all separate, unique people, and they look visually distinctive, and yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree. Everything, I'm looking at the screenshots again. Screenshots again, but I don't know. I'm really excited.
Yeah. I should also give a shout out that Ashilia on Twitter handled all of Wowhead's social media. So if you're watching on Twitter, give her a big thanks. And the post we're reading right now that has the huge live blog and everything going on was done by Serene Wow on Twitter, Sarah. She writes a lot of our Wowhead guides, and they both did an amazing job in just putting all the information together and letting us do the show smoothly, and, record number of people that are reading this and enjoying this. So they did an awesome job. Yeah. As I was managing things.
Yeah, I mean, we're sitting here like reading their notes that they wrote this whole time. Yeah. So for sure. I'm just super excited. I'm really like, there's a lot of nostalgia feelings going on, which I kind of felt going into Warlords of Draenor that it was going to be a BC throwback because it was in Draenor, but it was very obvious that once the beta came out that was not the intention of the expansion.
I feel like it was a testing ground, and now they'll just like mix and match cooler things from past expansions going forward because
okay, I have
like Dalaran from Wrath and Demon Hunter from BC put together is just that's
so
very good.
I totally agree. I have a question. Are we in the alternate timeline still? Because I would think we were because of Gul'dan.
Right, but the thing is that, so they were talking about how with the Emerald Raid that you go into an alternate reality for the dream, so that would be very confusing. If we're normal, then we go to the alternate raid, then we go to the alternate Emerald Dream. I feel like we need Chris Metzen. Chris Metzen needs to clear this up.
Yeah.
Maybe Sunday we'll get this.
Where the heck is Chris Metzen? This is the real #find Metzen. Like, where in the world is this guy? Like, I cannot believe that we got a World of Warcraft expansion and Metzen and Morheim nowhere to be found. Bros, where are you at? So confusing. So is anybody excited about the new Hunter survival? It's going to be melee. Punch, kick, stab, Hunter things. And they're going to get that Tauren staff. I was talking about how Taurens are going to have a storyline. The Taurens are going to have the survival melee
Eagle Spear.
Yeah, the Eagle Spear. Which one of them had a wolf head, so that's confusing. But that's okay.
Yeah, it's still very preliminary. I'm sure there'll be...
No, Gul'dan is... Yeah. Okay, this question says, I'm confused. Gul'dan is dead in our version of Azeroth. This means he's coming to Azeroth from Draenor. Is that correct? That in the current timeline, not the alternate timeline, Gul'dan is dead? So if Gul'dan is alive in the upcoming expansion, he would have had to come from the alternate timeline.
No, I mean, I think he's alive, because remember, I think it was the Mammy Twink interview where people were saying, Gul'dan's really cool, can we see him in the future? And they're like, yes, quite possibly. Yeah. So that wouldn't have been the case if he was dead. Yeah. But, yeah, I feel that we could have the lore could be ironed out a bit more. Maybe it'll be a part on the official website soon talking about this, because I am a little confused, because right now I'm just sort of like Illidan and Gul'dan and Dalaran.
Okay.
And
well, luckily we have a crap ton of people watching us on Twitch right now, so thank you to all of you lore guys.
Oh, wow.
Current timeline, Gul'dan is dead. Alternate timeline, Gul'dan is alive. So if the next expansion takes place in the current timeline, that means that Gul'dan time traveled and like broke some sort of space-time continuum in the way that Thrall did.
Yeah.
So who the heck knows what is going on, really?
Yeah, I feel like I'm distracted by all the shiny things and the weapons and the storyline and all the cool figures to really sort of dissect how all the time travel is going to fit together. But I hope we know soon, because I mean, I think a lot of people did fixate on some parts of the lore and Warlords being a little hard to understand, and that detracted from...
Ooh, that's an interesting... We got a comment from... I'm not going to say his name because I think it's offensive. But it says, Gul'dan's skull is what turned Illidan bad. In this timeline, Illidan will be good. So I think we still are in the alternate timeline then. Which will be interesting to see if Illidan is a hero. I'm even more intrigued.
Actually, this reminds me, there's this quest in Felwood where... you're in this city and you're sent to, I think, kill a demon hunter, and the demon hunter talks to you, and he explains how actually he views Illidan as a hero, and I'm pulling this up right now. But yeah, basically he explains that Illidan is a hero, and that he basically saved Felwood, and he sort of convinces you that all demon hunters are not evil. It's called... it's started by Farinus Sindweller, and the first quest is Wanta the Demon Hunter. And you get to relive part of Illidan's battles, including a falling out with Malfurion. Basically, Malfurion's like, foul demon, what have you done with my brother? And Illidan's like, the leader of the undead has been destroyed, the forces will heal in time. And Malfurion's like, at the cost of your soul, you are no brother of mine, be gone from this place and never set foot in our lands again. And Illidan sounds really sad. And then the quest NPC is like, yes, Illidan took the power of the Skull of Gul'dan for himself, but did he flee with it into the night? Did he use it for his own glory? No, his very first action was to use his new power to assault the Dread Lord Tychondrius. Witness his triumph, witness how Illidan reclaimed Felwood from the demons, and the thanks he was given. So... that's sort of an interesting angle, how Illidan was not just this evil villain, how he was trying to do good with his new abilities.
Yeah, and I like that a lot, because I feel like there are a lot of Illidan fanboys in the world. It's okay. Everybody just hold on to your fandom. But I definitely think that people are going to love being on Illidan's side, because I think that there's a lot of people in the world who kind of identify with, stereotypical villains, not necessarily because they're bad, but because they have some sort of tragic backstory that leads them to wherever they've, whatever actions they've taken. And if they are going to stay in this alternate timeline, I really love that they're making people like Illidan, who everybody really loved as a villain, but to go ahead and give him a hero story is pretty amazing.
Yeah. And there were hints, the quest I read, he wasn't just this cartoon villain, how he was more complex than that, which I feel like he's a better candidate to do something like that than, say, Garrosh, for example, who was just sort of bumbling since we first met him as a leader, sort of annoying everyone.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah. I totally agree. There's a lot of things to look forward to. I'm really excited to see what they have to say on Sunday. Really, really excited to see what they have to say on Sunday. I mean, I can't even imagine, what more could they possibly divulge?
I mean, maybe they'll explain things like the quest lines or how artifacts will work. Someone's like, oh, what if I have 2 specs? Do I have to grind out twice as many artifacts?
Probably.
Are any specs going away? I think someone pointed out that on one of the slides they were showing for PvP, there was a goblin druid. So
interesting.
Maybe they'll be, yeah.
I always am pro more, specifically druids, because then they get a whole new set of forms. And it would kind of make sense if they were going to introduce a new druid, because they're doing the new druid forms for night elves. So when are they going to do moonkin forms? My God, moonkins I saw that in the crap forever. Blizzard, please. Blizzard, please.
I would like a new Moonkin form. For an April Fool's joke for Wowhead one year, you could buy Moonkin skins in the Blizzard shop, and there's a neon pink one that I call Druid of the Party.
Druid of the Panzer, I'll take it.
Did you want to skim Twitter and see if anyone had any tweets using our hashtag?
We did a hashtag earlier, and I told everybody that we would be reading some of the hashtags on our stream today, and some of these are really great. Jordan Thane tweeted, "Can I have WoW Legion yet? It looks perfect. Hashtag Demon Hunters," which looks great. And then we got another tweet from Emtro, not sure how to pronounce that. And it says, "Me want gnome demon hunter," and it's like a really cute little gnome avatar, which is adorable. There is also there's so many, like everybody is so excited. Joel Reeve tweeted in all caps, "Double jumping."
Someone asked about improved transmog. Awesome. I was worried it would be held off again. Will Pepe be in the Warcraft Legion expansion?
I hope there's like a little demon hunter Pepe, like with little green
so
chest
cute.
demon hunter tattoos and little Pepe horns. Yes.
Yeah, that would be so cute.
Thank you so much for subscribing, Gold Queen. We appreciate that. If anybody's watching, these are the little emotes that we have for subscribing.
We have a ton more people here. So, as Spencer was saying, we have 2 emotes you can subscribe. One's a little Pepe and one's a rocket. So you can have the Pepe sitting on the rocket if you do them right.
Yeah, or the best one, my favorite one, is doing Pepe on Kitten Kappa. That's my favorite thing ever. But thank you for everybody who's come and watched us. There's so many of you, and I'm super proud of chat. It's been very mild for having 1,500 people, so well done, guys. We'll have this VOD updated a little bit later, and of course, if you want any more information, you can find everything right on the front page of Wowhead right now. Blizzard also already has the website up for Legion. What is this
their
one
website
word expansion?
It sounds very powerful. It's just like
Legion.
People can just say it instead of having weird abbreviations like MOP. You know, you can just think of like a little
wad.
Yeah, here's a wad of gum. So I like Legion. It's very in your face. And yeah, I have to go back to refining the content that Ashelia and Sarah were doing. We didn't get enough information, I think, to set up a talent calculator for the Demon Hunter,
Not
but
yet.
We will be working on all sorts of guides and making sure that all the press images are linked. They are linked. We're just going to organize them, sort them different ways, see if there's any information floating around that we have missed. I should link the expansion announcement one more time in chat.
My favorite thing, though, is that Blizzard, so everybody's been saying, of course, with the release of the WoW subscription numbers, everybody's like, oh no, woe is WoW, RIP WoW. But currently the Blizzard website is down due to an influx of traffic. So it's a big testament to, regardless of what the subscription numbers are right this very second, like WoW still has a huge impact on so many people, and people want a reason to subscribe, and I really feel like they hit a lot of people right in the nostalgia places.
Yeah, it's not just the nostalgia that it's nostalgia, but here's a sustainable system to keep them subscribed. Yeah. Constantly doing something for your weapon.
Absolutely. There's a bunch of people in chat suggesting that we call the new expansion LEG for short.
leg.wowhead.com. We always do 3-letter versions like, PTR or wad.wowhead, so I don't know. Leg.wowhead.com.
That's really funny. So we're gonna get going, guys. We have a lot of stuff to do, a lot of work to do with all of the stuff that just came out. But I hope that you guys all enjoyed the live stream. If you enjoyed our live stream, we do live stream every Friday at 6 p.m. Eastern time and talk about all of the goings on in World of Warcraft and Wowhead over the week. And then this Sunday, we're also doing a special live stream immediately following Blizzard's big panel about
just like
Legion.
This one.
Yeah, just like this one. So we'll just be like clarifying and going over some things and talking about our opinions and stuff like that. So I hope that you guys...
we still have a lot of stuff for tomorrow too. Like we have the sub numbers, we've got everything else at Gamescom.
Yeah, we've got a lot of stuff to talk about tomorrow. Yeah. That's why we did this stream today, because we didn't want to spend the entire Wowhead Weekly just talking about this. So I hope that you guys will maybe tune in tomorrow. We would love to see you there. We always upload our VODs to youtube.com/Wowhead, and they're also easy to find right on the Wowhead homepage. So I hope that you enjoyed the show. I hope you have a great day, and we're going to go. You guys have a wonderful day. Goodbye.
Thanks everyone for tuning in.
Have fun with the Legion hype.